Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and I want to talk about Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, specifically about Captain Lawson and a theory I have about his backstory. So in the latest episodes, Chapter 5 and Chapter 6, mostly in Chapter 6, but basically it ends up on the Empire's bad side. We had already established in previous episodes that he was no fan of the Empire. But when the Jedi go to his apartment looking for some brief safety while they hide out the Empire, Moura follows Captain Lawson, and well, Lawson has no problem immediately starting shooting the Empire. No, he starts shooting at Moura, he starts shooting at the Imperial troopers. Like, he does not hesitate. He shows no hesitation at all. And I find that very interesting. I've briefly discussed this in my reviews, how that he's clearly no fan of the Empire. Sounds like him and his wife separated because of her choosing to take a job with the Empire. But why is he so willing to immediately? He was just talking about how he didn't want to help the Jedi because he had his son to think about. Shouldn't that have also then extended not shooting the Empire at the Empire? You would think. But there's another thing too. There's a moment where they all commandeer a LAAT gunship, and Devon's piloting, but Lawson asks if she's ever flown it before. She says no, and then he asks if she would like him to take her flying. With her force abilities, she is able to figure it out. But I'm wondering if somehow Lawson, before becoming a cop, before joining the Jedi security force, or whatever the police department is called, may have actually, served in the Republic military with the clones, with the Jedi. I'm wondering. There's not much evidence to support that, but it's an instinct I have, a gut feeling. At the very least, I think he would have been a Republic loyalist. The idea is like, he supported the Republic, not the Empire. And if he was, he left when it became the Empire and joined the Jedi Security Force because he saw that as the best way of continuing to support his values without supporting the Empire. That is just a gut instinct. I have no firm evidence in support of it. But it's clearly, no matter what, he was never a big fan of the Empire, and if he did somehow work for the Republic in some capacity, he chose not to work for the Empire, instead of working for an independent planetary security force. These are my instincts, my gut feelings, because like I said, I don't have any solid evidence. But it is interesting to note how he was so willing to start blasting. And that part still can't be explained, because he was just talking about how he had his son to think of to protect. Unless he said, unless in his head he was thinking, things are going downhill, might as well make the best of a bad situation, and that's why he made the actions the way he did. But he also has this sign to his son: the Empire is not what you think, which tells me he knows more about what the Empire is. Maybe he does know, it's no surface of it. He maybe doesn't know that the Empire is secretly led by Sith. I doubt he would know that, but he understands that they're authoritarian, that they are clamping down on civil liberties and the like. And that's something his son probably wouldn't really understand, especially because his son probably doesn't remember much about the Republic pre-Clone Wars. And Lawson, he probably would remember that. So that's where I think it's all coming from. Is that a bit rambling? Yes. But I think it's safe to say that no matter what, Lawson, whether he always worked with the Jedi Security Force or whether he may have worked for the Republic at one time, clearly remembers the Republic before the Clone Wars, when they actually stood for liberty, for justice, for actual peace and security. And as such, he understands that the Empire's peace, and the Empire's security, the Empire's order is all a lie in service of those on top, in service of the authoritarians, of the capitalists who hold all the money, all the power. He may not have that as articulated like Nemec, but he definitely sees the problem of the Empire, and thus when he's put in the situation where he can no longer know them, he has no problems immediately becoming a dissident, immediately becoming a rebel. He has no problem with that because he understands the problem of the Empire, but he was putting the safety of his son first. And only when he could no longer, by keeping his head down, protect his son, does he decide to do the more drastic action, because that episode in chapter 6 at the beginning, it made it very much sound like if he did not have to worry about protecting his son, he would have been like, yep, I'll keep you guys safe, I'll hide you from the Empire. But it was only because of his son wanted to keep his son safe that he had his worries, that he was a bit more cautious about doing so. But once he saw the situation was, that's no longer an option, keeping my head down, and now I'm going to take the next step, the most logical step, to continue protecting his son. And I think that's ultimately a lot of what Lawson's personal motivation is. He didn't want the Empire to come because he knew that could threaten his son. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I don't think his son is force sensitive or anything, but he understood the harm that would cause to his son by the Empire arriving, especially because his son didn't fully grasp what the Empire actually was. But those are just my thoughts. That's what my theory is. Bit rambling, but it is what it is. So let's get it straightened out and by hearing your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.